us to love one another the way that he loves us. Really think about that. Like, God gave his son for us, you know, like he died on the cross, like the ultimate sacrifice. But it's so much deeper than that, because God chooses to love us even when we deny him, even when we mock him, even when we do our own will, when we are not living for him, when we're living in sin. Like, really, like, think about your life before you got saved. Or even think about your life now if you're not saved and you're just watching this video, you know, just for the fun of it, you know, maybe because you want to troll me. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. But think about your life without God. Like, how were you living before you got saved? How are you living now? Like me, for example, you know, I was looking for love. I wanted to feel loved. I wanted to, like, just, I don't know, like, I guess I really wanted to feel seen. And I think because growing up, I didn't really have that. I didn't have a healthy home dynamic, that when I would get in relationships, I would just put my all into it, or I would get so attached because I just wanted that person to see me. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to feel like I mattered. And now, you know, whether I'm married or not, you know, whether I have kids or not, like, I do matter. Like, me as an individual, like, I matter to God. Like, God still chose me. He still chose to save me no matter what I was doing before. Gave my life to Christ, okay? Because that's a whole nother story. The girl before, the woman before, wasn't really much of a woman. Like, if I'm being completely honest, you know, I did things I wasn't proud of. You know, I hurt people hurt me, and you know, that's just what it is. But God redeemed me, and he can redeem you as well. But my whole point is, when God calls us to love each other the way that Christ loves us, it's so profound, because he chooses us every day. Like, even when we upset him, even when we hurt him, he's still, like, if we come to him and we repent and we tell God, like, okay, God, like, I want to be in a relationship with you, like, I want to live for you, like, he will take you in. He's not going to tell you no. He's not going to deny you. Like, he's going to allow you in his space. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, I had to tell my husband, I'm like, love is not a feeling. Because if love was a feeling, you know, like, if we put it in terms of God, like, we would be dead. You know, like, there would be no sending his son to die for us. Because think about how much we hurt God. Think about how we make God feel every single day. You know, like, just the world and, like, the things that we're facing. And so I think a lot of people don't really see it in that way. They don't really think about love. But the reality is, to know love is to know God, because God is love. What does that even mean? I mean, it's really hard to put into words, but I truly believe that as I'm starting to re-dive into the Bible and, like, truly study his word to really get to know him, I learn more and more about him each day. I can't tell you what the whole, like, because there is a verse that said God is love, and he is, like, he is the embodiment, probably not pronouncing that right, but of love, because of how he chooses us every single day. You know, Jesus was sinless, never sinned, never did any of the things that we do, and he died for us. People mocked him, spat on him, beat him, and, you know, it's just like, why would anyone do that? To love, you know, human race, the humankind, so much, to love God's creation so much that you're willing to do anything so that we may be saved, so that we have that ability, so that we have that chance, you know, to spend eternity with him. Like, it's just crazy. But I got another example for y'all. I don't even have my Bible, because all this stuff is, like, recent in my brain. Like, I don't even have to go and flip through it. So think about, I was in my Bible study time with the Lord, and I felt encouraged to read Matthew 26. And reading that, like, you're probably going to be like, this has nothing to do with love. Like, what, this is about Jesus' crucifixion and, like Judas betraying him and yada, yada, yada. And as I'm reading it, I was having a moment because I was really reflecting on my marriage and just, I guess I was kind of like in my feelings. And so, like, I'm just thinking to God, and I'm like, God, it's so hard. It's so hard to love sometimes, to, I don't know, I guess, like, be forgiving, because people do hurt you. Like, your spouse, doesn't mean that they're going to hurt you in a way that's, like, I guess, considered betrayal. But, your significant other will hurt you sometimes, not because they're doing it intentional. Like, we're all human. Like, we all go through things. So, like, let's say you're with somebody and their parent passes away. Like, you guys are going to navigate that together. Or, like, you have children and then, like, your child is really sick. Like, there's just so many different things that can happen in your life with you and your spouse that can just cause a lot of friction in your marriage, whether it's intentional or not. So I say that to say, I was in my time with the Lord reading Matthew 26, and as I'm reading it, we always talk about, like, the Judas betrayal is such a famous thing. I mean, of course, because he's the reason that Jesus got caught and died, but that was what was supposed to happen anyway. And so Judas betrayed Jesus, right? And the entire time Jesus knew that he was going to be betrayed, and he knew who was going to betray him, but yet he never gave him up. And then when Judas comes to, give Jesus, like, to, give Jesus a hug or kiss him or whatever, I can't think of the exact thing, but he came up to Jesus to give him a kiss. I think that's what he was supposed to do, something like that. And Jesus says, friend. Like, do we catch that? Like, when he says, friend, why have you come? And so after I read that, and I've read the same thing so many times, and I think sometimes it just doesn't click, because God would tell me to read the same thing over and over, and I'm like, God, you done told me to read this so many times. I don't know what you're trying to get me, like, what you want me to get from this. And I finally, after reading it, I'm like, it just made me realize, like, Jesus still loved him. Like, Jesus still considered him his friend, regardless of the fact that he was setting up Jesus to be arrested and, later crucified. But it's so profound, because in the midst of everything, knowing what was going to happen, knowing who was going to do it, he still loved him. He still treated him the same way he treated all his other disciples. So what does that say about Jesus? Like, what does that say, when we say, we need to love each other the way that Christ loves us? That's what he calls us to do. But it could be difficult. It could be quite challenging, because sometimes our emotions are just so big. They're just so big. And we think, like, oh, I feel justified. I can be angry. I can, never talk to this person again. And I had to learn, because there's a specific person that was a part of my life for a very long time, that I've had a hard time, I think, truly forgiving. And I had to get to a point where I'm like, God, like, I give this person to you. I pray over this person, and I pray that this person gives their life to you, Lord, and that, you do a work in them so that they can be a reflection of you in their life and the people around them, for the benefit of your kingdom, not for me, because, it's not for me. But I truly, I have truly grown over the years, and to love like Christ is to love even when someone has betrayed you in a way that feels impossible to forgive. To love really just sometimes, I think, means to extend that grace, to still be, kind to that person, or to whoever, people in general, your boss, your coworker, whoever it is that needs some extra loving. But God calls us to love each other. And it's not just like, oh, tell someone that you love them and then you still treat them like crap, or you still give them, funky attitude. Like, love them in a way that will truly reflect Christ. And the only way you would ever know that is if you get to know God. And you start that by reading your Bible. Get into your word, because God is love, man. And that's it. That's all I got. Yeah. And then you gotta think about like 1 Corinthians, or is it 2 Corinthians? Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not boastful. It's not arrogant. It's not rude. It's not self-seeking. It's not irritable, and does not keep or record of does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It hears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So there's no such thing as growing out of love. If you grow out of love, you never loved that person in the first place. Okay? Sorry to tell you. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. We can elaborate on 1 Corinthians 13 another time. But God is love. And to know love is to know God. And to know God is to know how to love. Can't have one without the other. That's why this world is so broken. That's why there's so many relationships that are like where people are getting cheated on. There's a lot of adultery, infidelity, and just a lot of different things going on because people don't know Jesus. And when you don't know him, when you're not in your word, and you don't have that relationship, it's hard for you to really love someone in the way that God designed it. God is perfect. So his design is also perfect. Okay? So, yeah. Thumbs up, subscribe, whatever you're gonna do. Hope you guys have a great, what's today? Sunday. Maybe it'll go up tonight. Maybe we'll post this video Sunday night. Okay, bye.